What if your life isn't responding to what you want, but to who you believe you are? Your rising sign isn't just how you come across to others, it's the identity your life responds to, the lens you move through the world with, and the version of you your reality organizes itself around every day. Each rising sign carries its own way of shaping your experience through perception, presence, and self-concept. In this video, we're going to explore how your rising sign reveals the patterns that are quietly shaping your life direction, what's blocking your alignment without you realizing it, how your reality responds to your energy in real time, and how to shift into the version of you your life is meant to reflect. So grab your birth chart, find your rising sign, and the sign that sits in your first house, and let's dive in.
Have you ever noticed how quickly your life reacts to you? Not over time, not after you figure things out, but in the moment you decide to move. With Aries rising, your life doesn't wait for certainty. It responds to momentum. There are moments where everything feels open, responsive, almost immediate, and other moments where things feel blocked, frustrating, or stalled for no clear reason. This shift is not random. Your life is responding to whether you are in motion with yourself or hesitating against it. Because for you, reality doesn't organize itself around stability, it organizes itself around initiation. Aries rising creates a dynamic where life responds to how willing you are to move forward without overprocessing. When you are aligned, there is a directness to you. You decide quickly, you act without needing everything to be perfect, and you trust yourself enough to figure things out as you go. That energy does something very specific. It creates movement. People respond faster. Opportunities appear more quickly, and situations shift in real time. It can feel like life is meeting you halfway or even opening before you fully understand what you are stepping into. That is your natural flow. But the moment you start second guessing yourself, everything changes. You might notice that things begin to stall, conversations lose momentum, opportunities feel like they almost happen but never fully land, and situations drag out instead of moving forward. This is because your life is not responding to your potential. It's responding to your willingness to initiate. The version of you that reality recognizes most clearly is the one who moves, not the one who waits to feel ready. Your life is not designed to unfold through careful planning. It unfolds through action. With Aries rising, universal laws respond to the direction of your energy more than the certainty behind it. You do not need to have everything figured out for your life to move forward. You need to be willing to take the first step. When you are in motion, things tend to align quickly. You meet the right people. You find the next step naturally, and situations begin to build on themselves in a way that feels fast and responsive. When you're not in motion, the opposite happens. You might find yourself overthinking decisions, waiting for the right time, or trying to anticipate every outcome before acting. And during those periods, your life can feel frustratingly still. It's not that nothing is available to you. It's that your life is waiting for your signal to move. Your manifestation process is not about certainty, it's about engagement. The moment you step forward, even imperfectly, your environment begins to respond. Not because everything is guaranteed to work out, but because your energy has re entered the flow that your life is built around. Your biggest block is not a lack of opportunity, it is hesitation disguised as logic. This shows up in ways that feel justified, even responsible, such as telling yourself you need more clarity before you start, waiting until you feel more confident, spending time researching, planning, or preparing instead of acting, or holding back because you don't want to make the wrong move. In a world that rewards strategy and perfection, this can feel like the right approach. But for you, it disconnects you from your power. Because every time you delay action, your energy turns inward instead of outward. That creates frustration, restlessness, and sometimes self-doubt. This happens because you're not using your natural way of moving through life. So you may notice patterns like starting something and stopping too early because you're unsure how it will turn out. Losing momentum when things do not immediately go as planned. Or comparing your timing to others and questioning your own instincts. None of this is about discipline. It's about trust. The moment you start overriding your instinct to move, your life no longer has a clear direction to respond to. And when that happens, things feel stuck because you are no longer leading the movement. Your life gives you very fast feedback. You can see it in how quickly things shift once you decide to act, such as a conversation opens up, a new opportunity appears, a situation that felt stuck suddenly starts moving again. This is your natural feedback loop. When you are aligned, your life feels dynamic. Things are changing, progressing, and evolving. There's a sense that you are participating in what is happening, not waiting for it. When you're not aligned, that energy flips. Things feel delayed. Situations linger without resolution. Or you feel restless, frustrated, or impatient without fully understanding why. This is because your system is telling you that you're holding back your natural momentum. For Aries rising, this is one of the clearest indicators that you have. If your life feels stagnant, it's usually because your energy is not moving. If your life feels responsive, it's because you are. Once you recognize that pattern, you stop waiting for life to change and start looking at where you need to re-engage. For you, change doesn't come from waiting for clarity. It comes from creating it through action. Once you understand that your life responds to movement, the question becomes less about what the perfect decision is and more about whether you are willing to step forward. The first step to achieving this is to act before you feel fully ready. You are not meant to wait for certainty. The clarity you're looking for comes after you move, not before. The more you practice acting on your instincts, the more confident you become in your ability to navigate whatever follows. Next is to make decisions faster and adjust as you go. Your strength is not in making perfect decisions. It is in making decisions and then refining them in real time. Speed creates momentum. Momentum creates opportunity. Next is to stop over explaining your next move. You do not need validation for what you feel called to do. The more you explain, justify, or seek approval, the more you dilute your own direction. Trust your instinct and let your actions speak for you. Next is to re engage immediately when you feel stuck. If something feels stagnant, do not sit in it. Take a step, start something, initiate a conversation, change your environment. Movement is what reconnects you to your flow. And finally, build trust with yourself through follow through. Your confidence grows every time you act and stay in motion. Even if something does not work out the way you expected, the fact that you moved strengthens your relationship with yourself. Over time, that becomes your foundation. A great affirmation for Aries rising is, I trust my instinct to move and I act on it. I create momentum and my life responds. I do not wait for the right moment. I become the moment that moves everything forward. Which part of this are you still avoiding in your real life? Let's talk about it in the comments below. And this isn't just content, it's activation. So be sure to like this video, share it, hype it, and subscribe so you keep building on this momentum. And if you feel like you've outgrown where you are, but don't know what comes next, a one-on-one with me will help you understand exactly what's shifting and why. Plus, I have over 10 different session types so you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed that your life doesn't really respond to how hard you try, but to how settled you feel in yourself? That there are times when everything feels steady, aligned, and like it's coming together naturally. And other times when nothing is technically wrong, but things feel slightly off, inconsistent, or harder than they should be. That's not random. With Taurus rising, your life is not reacting to effort the way most people think it does. It is responding to what you have already decided is true about you on a deeper level, not just mentally, but in your body, your standards, and your sense of self, your pace, your boundaries, what you tolerate, and what you don't. All of it becomes the signal your life organizes itself around. So, this is not about learning how to chase what you want. It's about realizing that your reality is already responding to you in real time based on how grounded, clear, and certain you actually are within yourself. Taurus rising operates through a very specific kind of influence that is easy to overlook because it's not loud or forceful. Your life responds to you based on how stable your identity feels. When you are grounded in yourself, there's a sense of consistency in how you move, what you decide, and what you accept. You're not constantly adjusting your energy to match other people, and you're not second guessing yourself in every interaction. There is a quiet certainty in your presence that signals to life and to other people that you are not negotiating who you are. That signal matters more than anything you say. It shows up in the way people follow through with you, the kinds of opportunities that come towards you, and the level of consistency you experience in your environment. When you are anchored, life begins to reflect that same steadiness back to you. Things begin to develop slowly but steadily. Relationships feel more secure, and opportunities feel more reliable. However, when that internal stability shifts, even slightly, the external response changes with it. You might still be doing the same things, but the results feel different. People become less consistent, plans fall through more often, and opportunities feel less solid or more uncertain. This is because your life is not responding to your effort. It is responding to the version of you that feels the most settled in your own value. And for you, that version is everything. One of the most important things to understand about Taurus rising is that your life does not move through pressure. It moves through alignment that can actually hold. When something is not fully aligned with you, your life does not necessarily collapse or create chaos. Instead, it slows down. It delays. It creates a sense of stagnation that can feel frustrating if you're expecting things to move forward quickly. But that slowing down is not resistance in the way most people think. It is your system refusing to build something on an unstable foundation. So you might notice that when you are unsure about a decision, things seem to stall. Conversations do not progress. Opportunities feel like they're almost there, but not fully landing. Timing feels slightly off, even if everything looks correct on the surface. Or you might experience situations where you are trying to push something forward, such as a relationship, a business move, or a next step, but it never quite locks into place. This is because your life is constantly asking whether what you're building is something you can actually stand in long term. If your self worth is uncertain, if your standards are unclear, or if you are saying yes to something that does not fully feel right, your life will not accelerate that situation. It will pause it. Your manifestation process is not about speed, it's about sustainability. And once you understand that, the frustration starts to shift into awareness. You begin to see that the delay is not blocking you. It is protecting the life you were meant to build. Your biggest block is not chaos, and it's not a lack of opportunity. It is the moment you start choosing what feels comfortable over what actually feels aligned. And in real life, this does not look dramatic. It looks normal. It looks like staying in a situation because it is consistent, even though it does not fully feel right anymore. It looks like continuing to entertain someone because they are good enough, even though you know you're not fully being seen or met. It also looks like keeping a routine, a job, or a dynamic because it works, even though it's not actually fulfilling you. It also shows up in smaller, everyday ways, such as saying yes when you already feel the hesitation in your body, letting something slide that you normally would not accept, lowering your standards slightly because you don't feel like starting over, or convincing yourself that something is fine when you already know it's not. None of these feel extreme. It feels reasonable. It feels practical. And that is exactly why it's so easy to stay there. But every time you do this, your internal foundation shifts. You become less clear in your standards, less anchored in your worth, and more flexible in ways that do not actually serve you. And because your life responds so directly to your internal stability, this shows up externally almost immediately. And this is where Taurus rising gets stuck the longest, in spaces that are stable enough to stay in, but not aligned enough to grow from. And your life will continue to reflect that until your standard becomes clear again. If you zoom out and really look at your life, you can see how consistent this pattern is. Your reality is constantly showing you where you stand with yourself through repetition, not through one big moment. You can see it in the way people treat your time and energy. When you are fully anchored, people tend to respect your boundaries without needing constant reminders. When you're not, they begin to test those boundaries in small ways that add up over time. You can see it in the consistency of what you attract. So when you're clear in your value, what comes towards you tends to match that. When you're not, you start attracting situations that feel slightly misaligned, but still familiar enough to entertain. You can also see it in how your environment feels. There is either a sense of steadiness and support, or there's a subtle undercurrent of instability that you can feel, but might not always acknowledge. For Taurus rising, this is one of the most powerful realizations you can have. Your life is not waiting to change, it is already responding. And once you start reading your reality as feedback instead of something happening to you, you begin to understand exactly where you need to come back into alignment with yourself. Once you see how directly your life reflects your internal state, the focus shifts. You stop asking, why isn't this working? And you start asking, where am I not fully standing in myself? Because for you, change does not come from doing more. It comes from becoming more internally clear and consistent in how you show up. The first step to achieving this is to start making decisions that reflect your actual standard. Your self worth is not something you think, it is something you practice through your choices. Every time you accept something that does not fully align, you reinforce that as your baseline. Every time you choose what truly reflects you, you strengthen your foundation. And this is where your life begins to reorganize. Next is to pay attention to what your body is already telling you. Your body reacts before your mind explains. That slight hesitation, that tension, that feeling of something being off, it's not random, it's information. The more you listen to that instead of overriding it, the more aligned your decisions become. Next is to stop choosing what is familiar over what is true. Something can feel stable simply because you're used to it, but that doesn't mean it's aligned with who you are now. The shift happens when you start choosing what is actually right for you, even if it means letting go of what feels comfortable. Next is to move at your own pace, but be fully decided. You are not meant to rush, but once you decide something, you are meant to stand in it. Your power comes from clarity, not speed. And when you are clear, your environment adjusts much more quickly than you expect. And finally, hold your standard without needing to explain it. You do not need to convince anyone of your value. You only need to be consistent in how you show up. The more you hold your standard without negotiating it, the more your life begins to reflect that same level of consistency back to you. A great affirmation for Taurus rising is, I am the standard I live by. I don't lower myself to maintain comfort. I hold my ground, and everything meant for me rises to meet me there. What part of this felt a little too accurate for comfort? Be sure to drop it in the comments and let me know. And if this actually moves something in you, don't just sit on it. Be sure to hit like, hype this video, share it with someone who needs this shift, and subscribe for what's next. And if you felt seen here, a one-on-one is where we take that surface recognition and turn it into real personalized guidance. One session with me can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how quickly your experience of something can change without anything actually changing? You can wake up feeling clear, open, and curious, and your entire day flows differently. People respond differently. Things feel lighter. You move through everything with ease. Then another day, your mind feels scattered or heavy, and suddenly everything feels more complicated than it needs to be. Same life, same environment, completely different experience. With Gemini rising, your life doesn't respond to force or stability first. It responds to how you are perceiving and processing what's in front of you. Your thoughts don't just describe your reality, they actively shape how it unfolds in real time. Gemini rising creates a dynamic where life responds to how mentally available and engaged you are with the present moment. When you are aligned, there is a natural openness in the way you move through your day. You are curious instead of closed off, responsive instead of rigid, and mentally flexible in a way that allows you to adapt quickly without losing yourself. That openness becomes something powerful because it creates access. People feel easy talking to you. Information flows towards you, and ideas connect in ways that feel almost effortless. You might notice that things tend to fall into place when you're in this state, not because everything is perfect, but because you are mentally available enough to notice what is already there. However, when that openness shifts, the entire experience changes. You may find yourself overthinking small decisions, replaying interactions in your head, or trying to interpret what something means before simply engaging with it. What was once simple begins to feel layered, and what was once clear starts to feel uncertain. Nothing external has necessarily changed, but your access to it has. Because for you, reality doesn't just respond to what is happening, it responds to how you are engaging with what is happening. Your life moves through interpretation. With Gemini rising, universal laws are constantly reflecting the way your mind is organizing your experience. The meaning you assign to something becomes the filter through which everything else is processed. If you interpret something as interesting, engaging, or worth exploring, your energy opens. You become more present, more responsive, and more connected to what is unfolding. That state naturally creates movement and flow. If you interpret something as confusing, overwhelming, or frustrating, your energy contracts. You start trying to figure everything out at once, and your focus becomes scattered. That state creates friction because your attention is no longer grounded. This is why your experience can shift so quickly. It's not about the external environment changing, it's about the lenses through which you're viewing it. And for you, alignment is not about controlling outcomes. It is about staying mentally clear enough to engage with what is actually in front of you instead of getting lost in everything your mind is adding to it. Your biggest block is not a lack of options. It is having too many ways to think about everything. So, this can show up where you open your phone to send one message and end up scrolling, comparing, and second guessing yourself before you even respond. Or you reread something someone said and start wondering if there was a hidden meaning behind it, even though the interaction was straightforward. Or you have an idea you're excited about, but instead of acting on it, you start researching, analyzing, and gathering more input until the original spark loses its energy. You keep multiple tabs open, mentally and literally, and instead of feeling informed, you feel scattered. Even though this is technically avoidance, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like thinking. It feels like being aware, observant, and detail oriented. But what's actually happening is that your mind is moving faster than your ability to stay present with one thing at a time. And when that happens, your energy becomes divided. You are partially in the moment and partially in your head trying to figure everything out. This split is what disconnects you because your power comes from engagement, not analysis. And the more you overprocess what is simple, the more distant you feel from your own experience. Your life is constantly showing you the difference between when you're mentally clear and when you are mentally scattered. When you are clear, everything feels lighter. You move from one thing to the next without overthinking. Interactions feel natural. You respond instead of react. There is a sense that you are in rhythm with what is happening. When you're not, everything starts to feel heavier than it needs to be. Small things require more energy. Decisions feel harder. You might find yourself distracted, unfocused, or jumping between thoughts without landing anywhere. This is not about discipline, it's about attention. And you can see it in how your day unfolds. When your attention is grounded, your experience feels connected. When your attention is scattered, your experience feels fragmented. And because Gemini rising processes everything through the mind first, this feedback loop happens quickly. You don't have to wait for something big to change. You can feel the shift immediately. And once you start recognizing that pattern, you begin to understand that your reality is not becoming more complicated. Your attention is. And the moment you bring it back, your experience begins to reorganize itself. For you, shifting your life is not about doing more or forcing change. It is about simplifying your mental environment so you can fully engage with what is already in front of you. Once you understand that your life responds to your level of presence, the focus shifts from figuring everything out to staying connected to what is actually happening. The first step to achieving this is to focus on one thing at a time and finish it. Your energy becomes powerful when it is concentrated. Instead of jumping between tasks, ideas, or conversations, choose one thing and stay with it until it's complete. This builds mental clarity and strengthens your ability to stay present. Next is to stop trying to interpret everything. Not everything needs a deeper meaning. Sometimes what was said is exactly what was said. Sometimes what is happening is simply what is happening. The more you allow things to be simple, the more connected you feel to your experience. Next is to limit the input you take in daily. Too much information for you creates noise. Be intentional about what you are consuming, whether it's social media, conversations, or content. Your clarity depends on how much space you give your own thoughts. Next is to act on ideas while they still feel alive. You do not need to fully understand an idea before you move on it. When something excites you, act on it while the energy is there. This keeps you connected to your natural flow instead of disconnecting through overanalyzing. And finally, bring your attention back to the present moment repeatedly. Your power is not in thinking ahead or replaying the past. It is in being fully engaged with what is in front of you. The more you practice returning your attention to the present, the more your life begins to feel responsive again. A great affirmation for Gemini rising is, my mind is clear, my attention is focused, and I am fully present in my life. I engage with what is in front of me, and my reality responds. If I just exposed a pattern you've been in, say it out loud in the comments and let me know. And if this is the kind of truth you've been looking for, be sure to like this video, share it, hype this video, and subscribe so the universe keeps us synced. And if you know you're meant for more, but can't quite access it yet, a one-on-one with me will help you step into that version of yourself with clarity and direction. Plus, I offer over 10 different session styles to match what you actually need. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how your entire day can shift based on how you feel before anything even happens? There are days where you feel grounded, emotionally steady, and connected to yourself, and everything seems to meet you gently. People feel easier to be around, your environment feels supportive, and things unfold without friction. Then there are days where something feels off internally, and suddenly everything feels heavier. Small things hit harder. People feel more distant. Even neutral situations can feel overwhelming or draining. Nothing major has changed, but your internal state did. With Cancer rising, your life doesn't respond to pressure, logic, or speed first. It responds to how safe you feel within yourself. Your emotional state is not separate from your reality. It is the environment your reality forms around. Cancer rising creates a dynamic where life responds to the emotional tone you are holding, whether you realize it or not. When you feel safe in yourself, there is a softness in your energy that allows things to come toward you without resistance. You are not bracing, you are not guarded, and you're not anticipating what could go wrong. You are present, receptive, and emotionally open in a way that makes connection feel natural. That openness changes how everything interacts with you. People tend to meet you with more warmth. Spaces feel more comfortable. Your day unfolds in a way that feels supportive instead of demanding. It's not that everything is perfect. It is that your internal environment is not working against you. But when that sense of safety shifts, the entire experience changes. You may find yourself becoming more guarded without fully realizing it. You might start anticipating how something could affect you emotionally before it even happens. Or you might pull back slightly, protect your energy, or try to manage how much you are giving. And once that happens, your internal world mirrors it. People feel harder to read. Interactions feel less natural. Your environment feels less supportive. Because your life is not just responding to what you do, it is responding to what you feel safe enough to receive. Your life moves through emotional resonance. With Cancer rising, universal laws are constantly reflecting the emotional state you have normalized. This is not about surface level feelings that come and go. It's about the deeper emotional baseline your nervous system is operating from. If you're used to feeling safe, supported, and held within yourself, your life begins to reflect that in tangible ways. You attract environments that feel more stable. You experience interactions that feel more considerate. You move through your day with a sense that you're not alone in it. If your baseline is uncertainty, emotional guarding, or anticipating disappointment, your life begins to mirror that as well. This is not because you are causing negative outcomes. It's because your system is trying to protect you by preparing for them. For you, alignment is not about controlling your external environment. It's about creating internal safety that allows you to experience your life without constantly bracing for impact. Your biggest block is not a lack of connection. It's in how quickly you move into protection without realizing it. So, this shows up in ways that feel completely normal. You might hold yourself back from fully expressing how you feel because you're unsure how it'll be received. You might replay interactions in your mind, wondering if you said too much or not enough. You might withdraw your energy slightly when something feels off instead of addressing it directly. Or you might convince yourself that you are just being mindful when you are actually protecting yourself from potential emotional discomfort. It also shows up in how you manage your environment, keeping things controlled so nothing unexpected disrupts your mood, avoiding certain conversations because you don't want to feel exposed, or maintaining emotional distance in situations where you actually want closeness. None of this feels like avoidance. For you, it feels like self protection. And in many ways, it is. But over time, it creates a pattern where you are never fully available to your own life. You are present, but guarded, connected, but cautious, open, but only to a point. And because your life responds to what you are available for, it begins to reflect that same level of partial access back to you. Your life gives you very clear feedback about your emotional availability. You can see it in how people interact with you. When you're open, people tend to meet you with more warmth and honesty. Conversations feel more natural, and you feel understood without needing to explain yourself too much. When you're guarded, that dynamic shifts. People feel harder to connect with. Interactions can feel slightly off, even if nothing is technically wrong. You might feel like you are not being fully seen, even though you're not fully showing yourself either. You can also see this pattern in your environment. There are times when everything feels supportive, like your life is holding you in some way. And there are times when everything feels a little more distant, like you're moving through it alone. This shift is your emotional state being reflected back to you. For Cancer rising, this is one of the most important things to recognize. Your life is not deciding how to treat you. It is responding to how safe you feel being fully present within it. And the moment you shift that internal state, your external experience begins to shift with it. Once you understand that your life responds to your emotional availability, the focus changes. You stop trying to control how things will affect you, and you start creating a sense of safety within yourself that allows you to actually experience your life without holding back. The first step to achieving this is to let yourself feel without immediately managing it. You do not need to fix every feeling. Instead of analyzing, minimizing, or trying to move past something quickly, allow yourself to sit with it. The more comfortable you become with your own emotions, the less you feel the need to protect yourself from them. Next is to express what you feel in real time. Not perfectly, not with the right wording, just honestly. The more you practice expressing yourself as things are happening, the less pressure builds internally and the more natural your connections become. Next is to notice where you're withholding and ask why. Pay attention to the moments where you pull back. Is it because something actually feels unsafe or because you're anticipating how it might feel? That awareness alone starts to shift the pattern. Next is to create safety from within instead of from control. You do not need everything around you to be perfect to feel okay. The more you build a sense of internal grounding, the less you rely on external conditions to feel safe, and the more open you become to what is actually available to you. And finally, allow yourself to be fully present without bracing. This is the biggest shift. Instead of preparing for what might go wrong, practice being fully in what is happening right now. Connection, support, and ease are already available to you. You just have to be open enough to receive them. A great affirmation for Cancer rising is I feel safe being fully present in my life. I don't hold myself back to protect what hasn't happened. I open, I receive, and my life meets me there. Where did your perspective shift while listening to this? Let's chat about it in the comments. And if you're on this journey with me, be sure to like this video, send it to those who need it, hype this video, and subscribe so we stay tapped in together. And there's only so much I can say here. So a one-on-one with me is where we make it specific to you. I offer over 10 different session styles to match exactly what you need. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and book your session. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how differently life responds to you depending on how seen you allow yourself to be? There are moments where you show up fully, confident, expressive, not overthinking how you're being perceived, and everything feels open. People notice you, things flow toward you. You feel like you're actually in your life instead of watching it from the outside. And then there are moments where you pull back just a little. You second guess how you're coming across. You hold something in, tone something down, or decide it's not that serious. And suddenly, everything feels quieter, less responsive, less alive, less like you. With Leo rising, your life doesn't respond to effort first. It responds to how fully you allow yourself to be seen. Leo rising creates a dynamic where life responds to your level of self expression. When you are aligned, there is a natural radiance in how you show up. You're not trying to be anything, you are just fully in yourself. There is clarity in your presence, and people feel it immediately. They notice you without you trying. They respond to you without you forcing it. They engage with you because there is something real to engage with. That's your natural state. And when you're in it, your life reflects that energy back to you. You feel more recognized, more supported, and more connected to what you're doing. But the moment you start holding yourself back, that reflection changes. You might still be doing everything right, but something feels off. You're present, but not fully. You're expressing, but not completely. You're showing up, but with a filter. And your life mirrors that immediately. People engage less. Things feel more muted. You feel less connected to your own experience because your life isn't responding to your effort. It's responding to how much of you is actually there. Your life moves through visibility. With Leo rising, universal laws are constantly responding to how openly you are expressing your identity. This is not about being loud or attention seeking. It's about whether you are allowing yourself to take up space in a way that feels true to you. When you are expressing yourself freely, your energy expands. You become more engaged, more confident, and more connected to what you're doing. That expansion creates movement in your life. People notice you, opportunities align, and things begin to build in a way that feels natural. When you're holding back, the opposite happens. You might start overthinking how you're being perceived. You may tone down your reactions, your ideas, or your personality to fit into a space more comfortably. You might tell yourself that it's better to stay low key or not draw attention to yourself. And in doing that, your energy contracts. Your life reflects that contraction. Things feel smaller, slower, less responsive because you're no longer fully expressing what is there. For you, alignment is not about controlling outcomes. It is about allowing yourself to be seen without editing who you are. Your biggest block is not lack of attention. It is self-editing. And it shows up in ways that feel normal, even responsible. So you might hold back an opinion because you don't want to seem too much. You might downplay something you're proud of because you don't want to come off a certain way. You might laugh something off, change the subject, or redirect attention when it naturally comes to you. You might scroll past posting something because you start thinking about how it'll be received. Or you might wait until something is perfect before sharing it and then never actually share it at all. In your body, this doesn't feel like hiding. It feels like being aware, being considerate, or being strategic. But what's actually happening is that you are filtering your expression before it even had the chance to exist. And over time, that creates a version of you that is present, but not fully experienced. You're there, but not fully felt. Visible, but not fully seen. Expressive, but only with certain limits. And your life reflects that directly, not by rejecting you, but by meeting you at the level you are allowing yourself to show up. Your life gives you immediate feedback about how much of yourself you are actually expressing. You can feel it in your own energy. When you are fully in yourself, everything feels more alive. You are more engaged, more present, and more connected to what you're doing. Even simple moments feel fuller because you're actually in them. When you're holding back, everything feels flatter. You might still be participating, but there's a disconnect. You're observing yourself while you're in it instead of just being in it. You can also see it in how others respond to you. When you're open, people respond with more energy. There's more engagement, attention, and connection. When you're filtered, that response becomes more muted. And this isn't because people aren't interested. It's because there is less of you for them to connect with. And for Leo rising, this is one of the clearest patterns you can track. Your life expands when you express. It contracts when you edit. And once you see that, it becomes easier to recognize where you're holding back and what it's costing you. Once you understand that your life responds to your level of expression, the focus changes. You stop asking how to get more recognition and you start asking where you're not fully showing up as yourself. Because for you, change happens through visibility. The first way to step into this is to share it before it feels perfect. Your power is in expression, not perfection. The more you wait for something to be fully polished, the more you disconnect from the energy that made you want to share it in the first place. Let it be real instead of refined. Next is to stop downplaying what you're proud of. You don't need to make yourself smaller to be relatable. What you've created, what you've done, and who you're becoming deserves to be acknowledged, especially by you. Next is to notice where you hold back and move through it. Pay attention to the exact moment you start to filter yourself. That hesitation is where your growth is. Instead of pulling back, lean into it and express anyway. Next is to let attention be neutral instead of something to manage. Attention is not something you need to control. The more you try to manage how you're perceived, the more you disconnect from your natural presence. Let yourself be seen without constantly adjusting how it lands. And finally, show up as yourself even when it feels exposed. This is the real shift. You don't need to feel completely comfortable to be fully expressed. You just need to stop holding yourself back in the moment. The more you do that, the more natural it becomes. A great affirmation for Leo rising is, I allow myself to be fully seen as I am. I don't filter my presence to be accepted. I show up, I express, and my life expands to meet me. What part of your life makes more sense now after this? Be sure to tell me in the comments. And be sure to help this video reach who it's supposed to. So be sure to like, share this video, hype this video, and subscribe so the universe and the algorithm keep delivering. And if you know you're meant for more but can't quite access it yet, a one-on-one with me will help you step into that version of yourself with clarity and direction. Plus, I offer over 10 different session styles to match what you actually need. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how your entire experience can shift based on how on top of things you feel? There are days where you feel clear, organized, and like everything is flowing in the right direction. You move through your responsibilities with ease, your mind feels focused, and your environment seems to cooperate with you. Then there are days where something feels slightly off, not completely wrong, just not quite right. And suddenly everything feels harder. Small things take more effort, your mind feels more critical, and your energy starts tightening around everything you're doing. Nothing major changed, but your sense of alignment did. With Virgo rising, your life doesn't respond to speed, visibility, or even emotion first. It responds to how aligned you feel within yourself. Not perfect, but precise. Virgo rising creates a dynamic where life responds to how internally organized and aligned you feel. When you're in that state, there is a quiet efficiency in how you move. You are not scattered, you are not second guessing every step, and you are not trying to control everything at once. You are simply engaged with what's in front of you, handling things one piece at a time. That energy builds trust. People rely on you. Your environment feels manageable. Things tend to flow in a way that feels structured, but not overwhelming. You're able to move through your day without everything feeling like a problem to solve. But when that internal alignment shifts, even slightly, the entire experience changes. You might start noticing everything that is not right, the small details that are off, the things that could be better, the ways you could be doing more, fixing more, or improving more. And once that starts, your experience tightens. Tasks feel heavier. Your mind becomes more critical. Everything starts to feel like it requires more effort than it should. Because your life is not responding to what you are doing, it is responding to how you are relating to what you're doing. Your life moves through refinement. With Virgo rising, universal laws are constantly responding to the standard you are holding yourself to internally. This is not about external expectations or pressure from others. It is about the quiet, often unspoken standard you carry within yourself about how things should be. When that standard is grounded and supportive, your life reflects it back to you in a way that feels manageable. You approach things with clarity, your decisions feel clean, and your energy stays focused on what actually matters. When that standard becomes rigid or overly critical, your life reflects that as well. You may start to feel like nothing is quite enough, like there's always something to fix, adjust, or improve before you can fully relax. You may hold yourself to expectations that are difficult to sustain and then feel frustrated when you cannot meet them perfectly. This creates a very specific kind of pressure, not loud, but constant. And because your life is mirroring that internal standard, everything begins to feel like work. For Virgo risings, alignment is not about lowering your standards. It's about making sure your standards are actually supporting you instead of working against you. Your biggest block is not a lack of capability. It is the habit of turning your entire life into a constant improvement project. This shows up in ways that feel productive on the surface, such as rewriting something multiple times before you feel comfortable sharing it, overanalyzing a decision until it feels right enough instead of just making it, constantly adjusting your routine, your approach, or your process to make it better, or focusing more on what needs to be fixed than what is already working. It also shows up in how you relate to yourself, such as noticing your mistakes faster than your progress, holding yourself to standards you would never expect from someone else, or feeling like you need to get it together before you can fully relax or enjoy where you are. None of this feels like a block. For you, it feels like responsibility, self awareness, or growth. But what's actually happening is that you are rarely letting yourself be in a moment without trying to improve it. And that creates a disconnect because your life is not something that needs to be constantly corrected. It's something that needs to be experienced. The more you stay in a cycle of fixing, the less present you are in what is already working. And your life reflects that back by you feeling like it's never good enough. Your life gives you very clear feedback about the way you are relating to yourself. When you are grounded in a supportive internal standard, things feel manageable. You move through your responsibilities without everything feeling overwhelming. Your mind feels focused and your energy stays steady. When you are operating from self criticism, everything starts to feel heavier. Daily tasks take more effort. Decisions feel more complicated. Or you may feel like you're constantly behind, even when you're not. You can also see this in your environment. So there are times when things feel organized, clear, and under control in a way that supports you. And there are times when everything feels slightly chaotic or harder to manage, even if nothing major has changed. This is not a random shift. This is your internal state being reflected back to you. For Virgo rising, this is one of the most important patterns to recognize. Your life does not require you to be perfect. It responds to how you treat yourself in the process of living it. Once you understand that your life responds to your internal standard, the focus changes. You stop trying to fix everything and you start paying attention to how you are relating to yourself while you're moving through your life. Because for you, change does not come from doing more. It comes from creating a standard that actually supports you. The first step to achieving this is to let good enough be a completed action. Not everything needs to be optimized. Finish something and leave it as it is. This builds trust in your ability to move forward without constantly adjusting everything along the way. Next is to notice when you're fixing instead of experiencing. Pay attention to the moments where you start trying to improve something that does not actually need to be improved. Ask yourself if this is necessary or if it's a habit. That awareness alone begins to shift the pattern. Next is to speak to yourself the way you would guide someone else. You are often far more supportive and understanding with others than you are with yourself. Bring that same tone inward. Your environment reflects the way that you speak to yourself internally. Next is to simplify instead of adding more. When something feels overwhelming, your instinct may be to do more, adjust more, or add more structure. Instead, remove what is unnecessary. Clarity comes from simplification, not complexity. And finally, allow yourself to move forward without fixing everything first. You do not need to resolve every detail before you continue. Progress creates clarity. The more you allow yourself to move forward as you are, the more aligned your life becomes. A great affirmation for Virgo rising is, I am aligned, not perfect. I trust the way I move through my life. I release the need to fix everything, and I allow myself to experience what is already working. What did this help you understand about yourself for the first time? Be sure to drop it in the comments below. And if this gave you clarity, be sure to support this video with a like, share it with someone who's figuring this out too, hype this video, and subscribe to stay in the flow. And if you felt seen here, a one-on-one is where we take that surface recognition and turn it into real personalized guidance. One session can shift how you see your entire life. Plus, I have over 10 session types so you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how much of your experience changes depending on who you're around? There are moments where you feel completely like yourself, relaxed, expressive, clear, and everything flows naturally. You don't overthink what you're saying, you don't second guess how you're coming across, and interactions feel easy. Then there are moments where something shifts. You become more aware of the other person, more aware of how you're being perceived, more aware of how to keep things smooth. And without realizing it, you start adjusting. Your tone softens. Your responses become more measured. You filter what you say just enough to keep things comfortable. With Libra rising, your life doesn't respond to action or stability first. It responds to how aligned you are within your relationships, especially the one you have with yourself while you're in them. Libra rising creates a dynamic where life responds to how much you are anchoring into yourself while connecting with others. When you are aligned, there is a natural ease in your interactions. You are present, open, and engaged without losing your sense of self. You're not trying to control the dynamic, and you're not trying to manage how everything lands. You are simply in it. This creates a very specific kind of experience. Conversations feel natural. People respond with more honesty, and connections feel mutual instead of one sided. There is a sense that you are meeting others as yourself, not as a version of yourself that has been adjusted to fit. But when that internal anchoring shifts, your entire experience changes. You may start focusing more on the other person than on yourself. You may begin subtly adapting your responses, your opinions, or your energy to maintain a certain dynamic. And once that starts, your reality mirrors it. Interactions feel less clear. Connections feel slightly unbalanced. And you may leave situations wondering if you were fully yourself in them. Because your life is not just responding to who you are, it's responding to how much of yourself you are actually bringing into your connections. Your life moves through relational balance. With Libra rising, universal laws are constantly reflecting the equilibrium between you and the world around you. This is not just about external relationships. It's about the internal balance between your needs and the needs of others. When that balance is clear, your life feels aligned. You know where you stand. You express yourself without overthinking it. You engage with others without feeling like you need to adjust yourself to maintain harmony. That clarity creates stability in your relationships and in your environment. But when that balance shifts, your experience changes. You may start prioritizing how things feel externally over how they feel internally. You might begin managing interactions instead of participating in them. And you might soften your stance, delay your response, or hold back your truth to keep things smooth. Over time, that creates imbalance. It's not always obvious, but it's felt. You might feel like you're giving more than you are receiving, like you are understood on the surface, but not fully seen, or like you're maintaining something instead of actually experiencing it. For you, alignment is not about avoiding conflict or keeping everything even. It's about making sure you're not disappearing inside the process of keeping things balanced. Your biggest block is not a lack of connection, it is how easily you adjust yourself to maintain it. And this shows up in ways that feel completely normal. So you might agree with something you don't fully agree with just to avoid tension. You might hold back your real opinion until you're sure it'll land well. You might soften your boundaries so you don't come off as difficult. Or you might say it's fine when something actually isn't because you don't want to disrupt the dynamic. It also shows up in more subtle ways, such as editing your personality depending on who you're around, letting someone else set the tone of the interaction instead of staying in your own, or prioritizing being liked over being fully expressed. Internally, none of this feels like self abandonment. For you, it can feel like awareness, emotional intelligence, or like you're being considerate. And in many ways, it is. But over time, it creates a version of you that is always in relation to others and not always anchored in yourself. So you're present, but you're adjusting. You're connected, but you're filtering. You're engaged, but not fully expressed. And your life reflects that. Not by removing connection, but by giving you connections that match the level of authenticity you are allowing yourself to have. Your life gives you very clear feedback about how aligned you are within yourself during your interactions. You can feel it after you leave a conversation. When you are fully yourself, you feel clear. There is no need to replay what you said or question how you came across. You feel settled in the interaction because you know you were present and real. But when you were adjusting, it feels different. You might replay what you said. You might question how you were perceived. You might feel like something was slightly off, even if everything seemed fine on the surface. That feeling is your feedback. You can also see it in the quality of your connections. When you are anchored, relationships feel mutual and balanced in a way that is real and not managed. When you're not, there is a subtle imbalance that builds over time, even if it's not immediately obvious. For Libra rising, this pattern is everything. Your life is constantly reflecting the relationship you have with yourself while you're relating to others. And the moment you stop adjusting and start anchoring, everything around you begins to reorganize. Once you understand that your life responds to how you show up in relationships, the focus changes. You stop trying to perfect the dynamic and you start paying attention to whether you're still fully in yourself while you are in it. Because for you, change happens through staying anchored, not through adjusting. The first step to achieving this is to pause before you automatically agree. Give yourself space to actually check in with what you think and feel. You don't need to respond immediately. That pause helps you stay connected to yourself instead of defaulting to what keeps things smooth. Next is to say what you actually mean, even in small moments. You don't have to start with big conversations. Just begin by expressing small preferences honestly. This builds trust with yourself and gradually shifts how you show up in all interactions. Next is to notice when you are managing the dynamic. Pay attention to when you start trying to control how something feels. That is usually the moment you are moving out of alignment with yourself. Awareness is the first shift. Next is to let discomfort exist without fixing it immediately. Not every moment needs to be smoothed over. Allowing a little tension or difference to exist helps you build real, balanced connections instead of ones that rely on constant adjustment. And finally, stay in your energy even while you're connecting. You can be open, engaged, and connected without losing yourself. The more you practice staying in your own energy while interacting with others, the more natural and aligned your connections become. A great affirmation for Libra rising is, I stay anchored in myself, even in connection. I bring my full presence into my relationships, and my life reflects that truth. What did this confirm that you already knew deep down? Be sure to drop it in the comments below. And if this actually moves something in you, don't just sit on it. Be sure to hit like, hype this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for what's next. And if you felt seen, let's go deeper in a one-on-one session where we will shift your entire life concept. Plus, I offer over 10 different session styles to match exactly what you're moving through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out and book your session. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how people respond to you before you even say anything? How they either open up quickly or become guarded? How situations either deepen fast or feel tense without explanation? There's an intensity to your presence that shifts the energy of a room the moment you enter it. And you feel it too. You can sense what's real and what's not. You can feel what's being said and what's being avoided. You can tell when something is off, even if no one acknowledges it. With Scorpio rising, your life doesn't respond to what's visible first. It responds to what's true underneath the surface. And whether you're aware of it or not, your energy is always communicating that truth. Scorpio rising creates a dynamic where life responds to how honest you are with yourself, especially about what you feel. When you are aligned, there is a depth to you that is unmistakable. You're not trying to be understood, and you're not trying to control how things unfold. You are simply rooted in what you know is real for you. That creates power. People feel it immediately. They take you seriously without you asking them to. Situations move into deeper territory without you forcing them. There is no confusion about your presence. Even if you are quiet, you are clear. And when you're in that state, your life reflects it back to you. You experience deeper connections, more meaningful interactions, and situations that feel transformative instead of surface level. But when that internal honesty shifts, everything changes. You may start suppressing what you feel instead of acknowledging it. You might tell yourself something is fine when it isn't. You might avoid confronting something because you already know where it leads. And when that happens, your energy becomes divided. You feel one thing, but present another. And your life mirrors that immediately. People feel harder to trust. Situations feel unclear or tense. Things start to feel complicated without a clear reason why. Because your life is not responding to what you say, it is responding to what you are holding underneath. Your life moves through emotional truth. With Scorpio rising, universal laws do not respond to surface level intention. They respond to what is real at the deepest level of your awareness, even the parts you're not fully acknowledging. If you are clear about what you feel and willing to face it, your life moves in a way that feels direct and transformative. Things shift quickly, but with purpose. Situations evolve in a way that leads to real change, not just temporary adjustment. And if you are avoiding something, your life does not ignore it. It intensifies it. So you may notice patterns repeating until you address them. You may find yourself in situations that bring the same emotional themes back up, even if the details are different. And you may also feel like something keeps circling back around, no matter how much you try to move forward. This is not punishment. This is precision. Your life is designed to bring you into deeper alignment with yourself, and it does that by making what is unaddressed impossible to ignore. For you, alignment is not about staying comfortable. It's about staying honest. Your biggest block is not a lack of awareness. It is what you choose not to act on. You already feel what's real. You already know when something is off. You already know when something has changed. And you already know when something is no longer aligned. But instead of moving with that knowing, you may hold it. You might stay in something longer than you should because you're waiting for confirmation. You might avoid saying something because you already know how it will shift the dynamic. Or you may convince yourself to give something more time even when you feel the truth clearly. It also shows up internally, such as pushing feelings down so you can stay in control, distracting yourself instead of sitting with what's coming up, or trying to rationalize something that you feel deeply but don't want to face yet. Internally, this doesn't necessarily feel like denial. For you, it can feel like timing, patience, giving things space. But what's actually happening is that you are holding energy that needs to move. And when that energy is not expressed or acknowledged, it builds. It creates tension. It creates emotional weight. It creates situations that feel more intense than they need to be. Because your life is not designed to let you bypass what you already know. It's designed to bring you deeper into it. Your life gives you very direct feedback about how aligned you are with your own truth. You can feel it in your body. When you're being honest with yourself, there is a sense of clarity, even if the situation is not easy. You feel grounded in what you know, and there is less internal conflict. When you're not, everything feels heavier. You feel tension that you can't fully explain. You might feel emotionally drained even when nothing major is happening. or you might feel like something is building beneath the surface without a clear release. You can also see it in your external experiences. When you're aligned, your life feels deep, meaningful, and transformative. Even challenges feel purposeful. When you're not, things feel complicated, drawn out, or unnecessarily intense. Situations linger, emotions build, and clarity feels just out of reach. This pattern is your internal state being reflected back to you. For Scorpio rising, this is one of the most important things to understand. Your life does not respond to what you avoid. It responds to what you're willing to face. Once you understand that your life responds to your level of honesty with yourself, the focus changes. You stop trying to control outcomes and you start paying attention to what you already know but have not acted on. Because for Scorpio rising, change does not come from doing more. It comes from going deeper. The first step to achieving this is to acknowledge what you feel without filtering it. You don't need to justify it, soften it, or explain it away. Start by being honest with yourself first. What you feel is information, not something to manage. Next is to act on what you know instead of waiting for confirmation. You rarely need more information. The more you delay acting on what you already know, the more tension builds. Movement comes from trusting your internal awareness. Next is to stop holding space for what you've outgrown. Letting go is a part of your alignment. If something no longer feels right, your power is in releasing it, not maintaining it. Next is to let emotional intensity move instead of containing it. You are not meant to hold everything in. So, whether it's through expression, conversation, or processing, allow what you feel to move. That is how you stay clear. And finally, choose truth over control. Control often comes from trying to manage outcomes. Truth comes from being honest about where you are. The more you choose truth, the more your life aligns in a way that does not require force. A great affirmation for Scorpio rising is, I trust what I feel and I honor what I know. I face what's real and my life transforms with me. Where did this hit something you've been quietly carrying? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if this is the kind of truth you've been looking for, be sure to like this video, share it, hype it, and subscribe so the universe keeps us synced. And if you're watching videos like this but still feel like something isn't fully clicking, this is where it actually comes together. My As Above, So Within digital prompt journal walks you through your chart in a way that turns awareness into real understanding. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how much of your life changes based on what you believe is possible? There are moments where you feel open, optimistic, and certain that things are working in your favor, and everything starts moving. You feel inspired, ideas come easily, people respond to you differently, and your life feels like it's expanding in real time. Then there are moments where that certainty drops. You start questioning where things are going, you lose the bigger picture, and you begin to feel stuck in your current circumstances. Suddenly, everything feels smaller. The same life, but with less movement, less excitement, and less direction. With Sagittarius rising, your life doesn't respond to control or perfection. It responds to what you believe your life is leading toward. Sagittarius rising creates a dynamic where life responds to your sense of direction and possibility. When you are aligned, there is a natural forward movement in your energy. You're not stuck in the details or overanalyzing every step. You are connected to something bigger than the moment you are in, and that connection gives you momentum. You trust that where you're going matters, and that trust changes how you move. You take risk more easily, you say yes to things that feel aligned, and you follow what feels expansive instead of what feels safe. And because of that, your life expands. You meet people who open your perspective. You find yourself in places you didn't expect. Your experiences begin to build on each other in a way that feels meaningful. But when that internal sense of direction shifts, everything changes. You may start focusing only on what's right in front of you instead of where it's leading. You might begin questioning whether things are actually going anywhere. And you might lose that sense of forward movement that normally drives you. And when that happens, your life reflects it. Things feel repetitive. Experiences feel less meaningful. And you may feel like you're going in circles instead of moving forward. Because your life is not just responding to your actions, it is responding to your belief in where those actions are taking you. Your life moves through belief. With Sagittarius rising, universal laws respond to the meaning you assign to your experiences. The story you tell yourself about what is happening becomes the framework your life builds on. If you see something as growth, it expands. If you see something as a dead end, it closes. If you believe something is leading somewhere, it develops. This is why your life can shift so quickly. It's not always about external change. It's about how you're interpreting what is happening. When you are aligned, you naturally look at your life through a lens of expansion. Even challenges feel like they're leading somewhere. You're able to zoom out, see the bigger picture, and keep moving forward. When you're not, your perspective narrows. You may start focusing on what is not working instead of what is developing. You may lose sight of the long-term vision and get stuck in the current moment. You may question the purpose behind what you're experiencing. And when that happens, your life feels smaller. For Sagittarius rising, alignment is not about controlling what happens next. It's about staying connected to a perspective that allows your life to keep expanding. Your biggest block is not a lack of opportunity. It's the tendency to move past things before they have fully landed. So this shows up in ways that could feel like forward movement. So you might leave something as soon as it starts to feel heavy instead of working through it. You might distract yourself with something new when something current becomes uncomfortable. You might keep yourself busy, stimulated, or entertained, so you don't have to sit with what you're actually feeling. It also shows up in how you think, telling yourself everything is fine when you haven't actually processed it. Jumping to the next idea, plan, or direction instead of staying with what's in front of you. Or framing something as not meant for you before you fully understood what it was there to show you. Internally, this doesn't feel like avoidance for you. It feels more like staying positive, staying forward focused, not being stuck. But what's actually happening is that you are skipping depth in favor of movement. And over time, that creates a disconnect. So you may feel like you've experienced a lot, but not fully integrated it. You may feel like you're moving forward, but not necessarily moving deeper. And your life reflects that. Things start, but don't fully develop. Experiences feel exciting at first, then fade. You keep searching for the next thing instead of building on what's already there. Because your life is not designed for constant movement. It's designed for meaningful expansion. Your life gives you clear feedback about whether you are expanding or escaping. When you are aligned, your life feels like it's opening. You feel inspired, you feel connected to what you're doing, and you feel like your experiences are leading somewhere, even if you don't know exactly where yet. There's a sense of direction, even with uncertainty. When you're not aligned, that feeling shifts. You may feel restless instead of inspired. You may feel bored even when things are happening. And you may feel like you need something new to feel engaged again. That restlessness is your feedback. It's not telling you that you need more. It's telling you that you're not fully present with what you already have. For Sagittarius rising, this is one of the most important distinctions. Expansion feels grounded and meaningful. Escapism feels exciting but empty. And the more you learn to recognize that difference, the more your life begins to align in a way that actually fulfills you. Once you understand that your life responds to your beliefs and your depth of engagement, the focus changes. You stop chasing the next thing and you start building meaning within what is already in front of you. For Sagittarius rising, change comes from aligning your perspective with where your life is actually trying to take you. The first step to achieving this is to stay with what you start long enough for it to develop. Not everything is meant to be instant. Give things time to grow, evolve, and reveal their deeper meaning before you move on. What feels slow at first is often what becomes meaningful later. Next is to follow through on what you say you believe. It's easy for you to feel inspired, to talk about what's possible, and to see the bigger picture. But your life changes when your actions match your beliefs. If you say you want growth, choose it consistently. If you say you're ready for more, move like it daily. This is where your expansion becomes real. Next is to be honest about what you're avoiding. Notice where you're staying busy, distracted, or constantly moving. That is often where something deeper is asking for your attention. Next is to choose meaning over immediate excitement. Not everything that feels exciting is aligned. Pay attention to what feels meaningful, even if it's not as stimulating at first. That's where real expansion builds. And finally, anchor into a vision that actually feels true for you. Your life expands based on what you believe you are moving toward. Make sure that vision is something that genuinely resonates with you, not something you feel like you should want. A great affirmation for Sagittarius rising is I trust where my life is leading me. I move with purpose, not escape. I stay present, I go deeper, and my life expands in ways that are real and lasting. What part of your life makes more sense now after hearing this? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And be sure to help this video reach who it's supposed to. So be sure to like this video, share it, hype it, and subscribe so the universe and the algorithm keep delivering. And if you're going through a breakup, a transition, or just feeling off in your life right now, my As Above, So Within digital prompt journal will help you process what's actually happening beneath the surface and begin healing. Tap the link below in the description box to check it out and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how much responsibility you carry, even when no one asked you to? How you naturally think ahead, plan ahead, and consider the long term impact of everything you do, while other people seem to move more freely? There are times where you feel steady, focused, and in control of your direction, and your life reflects that. Things feel structured, progress feels real. You can see where you're going. And then there are times where everything feels heavier than it should, like you're carrying more than your share, like things are taking longer than expected, like you're putting in effort but not seeing the return yet. Nothing is necessarily wrong, but everything feels heavy. For Capricorn rising, your life doesn't respond to speed or emotion first. It responds to how much authority you are actually claiming over your own life. Capricorn rising creates a dynamic where life responds to the level of ownership you take over your path. When you are aligned, there is a grounded confidence in how you move. You're not waiting for permission, and you're not looking for constant validation. You make decisions based on what you know is right for you, and you follow through with them. That creates structure. People take you seriously. Your time is respected, and your efforts begin to build into something tangible. There's a sense that your life is moving forward in a way that is intentional and stable. But when that internal authority shifts, your experience changes. You may start second guessing your decisions. You might delay taking action because you feel like you need to be more prepared. You might hold yourself back until everything feels ready. And when that happens, your life mirrors it. Things move slower. Progress feels delayed. You may feel like you're doing a lot without seeing results because your life is not responding to how much effort you're putting in. It is responding to whether you are actually standing in your authority while you do it. Your life moves through structure. For Capricorn rising, universal laws respond to the standard you set for yourself, not just in what you say you want, but in what you consistently accept. If your internal standard is clear, your life begins to organize itself around it. You make decisions that reflect where you're going, not where you've been, and you hold yourself to a level that creates long-term stability, even if it requires patience. But if your internal standard is unclear or constantly shifting, your life reflects that as well. You may find yourself taking on more than you need to. You may stay in situations longer than you should. You may delay stepping into something because you don't feel ready enough. And over time, that creates a pattern where you are working hard, but not always moving forward in the way you want to. For Capricorn rising, alignment is not about doing more. It's about making sure that your effort is actually aligned with the level of authority you're meant to hold. Your biggest block is not a lack of discipline, it is over responsibility. And it can show up in ways that feel completely justified. So you might take on more than you need to because you feel like it's your job to handle it. You might stay in something longer than you should because you've already invested time into it. You might delay starting something because you feel like you need to be more prepared first. Or you might tell yourself you'll step into something when the timing is right and keep pushing that moment further out. It also shows up in how you relate to your own goals, such as holding yourself to standards that are so high they become restrictive, measuring your progress in ways that make you feel behind, even when you're not, or feeling like you need to earn your next level instead of stepping into it. Now, for you, these may not feel like a block. It may feel like responsibility or maturity, like you're doing things the right way. But what's actually happening is that you're delaying your own authority. You are preparing for something you are already capable of stepping into. So your life reflects that. So things take longer. Progress feels slower. You feel like you're building, but not fully arriving. Because your life is not waiting for you to be ready. It's waiting for you to decide that you are. Your life gives you very clear feedback about how you're holding your power. You can feel it in your energy. When you are fully in your authority, things feel steady. You are focused, clear, and intentional. Even if things take time, there's a sense that they are building in the right direction. When you're not, everything feels heavier. You may feel like you're carrying too much, or that you're constantly working without the recognition or results you expect. You can also see this show up in your environment, where there are times when your efforts feel supported and acknowledged, and then there are times when it feels like you're doing everything on your own. This shift reflects how you are holding yourself internally. For Capricorn rising, this is one of the most important patterns to understand. Your life does not respond to how much you carry. It responds to how clearly you claim what is yours to lead. Once you understand that your life responds to your level of authority, the focus changes. You stop trying to prove yourself and start deciding what you're already ready for. Because change for Capricorn rising comes from stepping into the role you have already grown into. The first step to achieving this is to decide you are ready before you feel ready. You don't need more time to prepare. You need to choose. The moment you decide you are ready, your energy shifts and your life begins to respond differently. Next is to stop taking responsibility for what isn't yours. Not everything is yours to carry. Pay attention to where you are overextending yourself and start pulling your energy back. Your power grows when you focus on what is actually yours to lead. Next is to raise your standard for what you accept. Your life organizes around what you tolerate. The more clearly you define what is acceptable for you, the more your environment begins to reflect that standard. Next is to move like the version of you you're trying to become. Not in a performative way, though, but more so in a grounded, consistent way. If you already see where you're going, start making decisions from that place now. And finally, let progress be built, not forced. Your life is not meant to happen all at once. Trust the process you are in. The more you stay consistent in your direction, the more everything begins to come together in a way that lasts. A great affirmation for Capricorn rising is, I claim my authority without waiting for permission. I move with intention and my life builds with me. I am not behind, I am becoming, and I trust where I am going. Where did this hit something you've been quietly carrying? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if this helped you to understand yourself on a deeper level, be sure to like it, pass it on to someone who needs it, hype this video, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you feel like you've outgrown where you are, but don't know what comes next, a one-on-one with me will help you understand exactly what's shifting and why. Plus, I have over 10 session types that you can customize to whatever you're working through. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how your life feels completely different depending on how connected you are to yourself? There are moments where you feel clear, independent, and fully in your own lane, and everything flows differently. You're not comparing, you're not overthinking, and you're not trying to fit into anything. You're just moving in a way that feels true to you. And in those moments, things open up. You feel more creative, more aligned, more like your life actually belongs to you. Then there are moments where that connection fades. You start observing yourself more than experiencing yourself. You begin thinking about what makes sense instead of what feels true. You might pull back, detach, or question where you fit. And suddenly, everything feels more distant. Not bad, just disconnected. With Aquarius rising, your life doesn't respond to effort, emotion, or control first. It responds to how authentic you are being in real time. Aquarius rising creates a dynamic where life responds to how fully you are expressing your individuality. When you are aligned, there is a natural sense of self trust in how you move. You're not looking for approval, and you are not trying to match what others are doing. You are simply following what feels right for you, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. That creates alignment. You attract people who resonate with you. You find yourself in spaces that feel natural instead of forced. You experience life in a way that feels original, not repetitive. There is a sense that your life is unfolding in a way that reflects who you actually are. But when that internal connection shifts, everything changes. You start observing instead of participating. You start questioning your choices based on logic instead of truth. You might detach from what you feel and move into what makes sense on paper. And when that happens, your life mirrors it. Things feel less engaging. Connections feel more surface level. You may feel like you're present, but not fully in your own experience because your life is not responding to what makes sense. It is responding to what is real for you. Your life moves through authenticity. With Aquarius rising, universal laws respond to how connected you are to your own truth, not the version of you that is filtered through logic, expectations, or external perspectives. When you are aligned, you trust your own direction. Even if you cannot fully explain it, you move forward anyway. That trust creates momentum. Your life begins to organize itself around your authenticity, bringing in experiences and connections that reflect who you actually are. But when you are not, your energy shifts into observation. So you start analyzing your choices instead of living them. You start to look at your life from the outside instead of being inside of it. You question your instincts because they don't align with what seems practical or expected. And when that happens, your life feels disconnected because you are no longer fully engaging with it. For Aquarius rising, alignment is not about doing what makes the most sense. It's about staying connected to what feels true, even when it doesn't. Your biggest block is not a lack of direction, it is detachment. And this can show up in ways that feel completely valid. So you might talk yourself out of something because it doesn't seem practical. You might disconnect from your emotions because they feel inconvenient or unclear. You might observe what's happening in your life instead of fully engaging with it. Or you might keep your distance in situations where you actually want to feel closer. It also shows up in how you relate to yourself. So, this is overanalyzing your own behavior instead of just being in it. Questioning your instincts because they don't follow a logical path, or staying in your head instead of dropping into your experience. Now, internally, none of this actually feels like a block. For you, this can feel like awareness or independence or like seeing things clearly. But what's actually happening is that you are stepping outside of your own life. You are watching it instead of living it. You are thinking about it instead of feeling it. And over time, that creates a disconnect. You may feel like you know yourself, but not fully experience yourself. You may feel like you understand your life, but not fully feel connected to it. And so your life reflects that. Things feel distant. Connections feel less personal. Experiences feel less immersive because your life is not designed for you to observe it. It is designed for you to be in it. Your life gives you very clear feedback about how connected you are to yourself. You can feel it in your level of engagement because when you're aligned, everything feels more alive. You are present, involved, and connected to what you are doing. Even simple moments feel meaningful because you're actually in them. But when you're not, everything feels more distant. You may feel like you're going through the motions. You may feel like you're watching your life instead of experiencing it. And you may feel disconnected even when everything looks fine on the outside. You can also see it in your relationships. When you're connected to yourself, your interactions feel real and natural. When you're not, they can feel surface level or slightly disconnected, even if nothing is technically wrong. That pattern is your feedback. And for Aquarius rising, this is one of the most important things to understand. Your life does not respond to how much you think about it. It responds to how fully you are present within it. Once you understand that your life responds to your level of authenticity, the focus changes. You stop trying to figure everything out and you start coming back into yourself. Because for you, change does not come from more clarity, it comes from more connection. The first step to achieving this is to make decisions based on what feels true and not just what makes sense. Your instincts are valid, even if they don't follow a logical path. Practice trusting what feels right, even when you cannot fully explain why. Next is to stop observing yourself and start participating. Notice when you're stepping outside of your experience. Bring your attention back to what you are actually doing, feeling, and experiencing in real time. Next is to let yourself feel without needing to analyze it. You don't need to understand everything immediately. Allow yourself to feel something without breaking it down. That's how you reconnect to yourself. Next is to engage with your life instead of staying mentally detached. Put yourself into what you're doing, whether it's a conversation, a project, or a moment. Be fully there instead of partially removed. And finally, allow yourself to be different without explaining it. You are not meant to fit into what already exists. The more you accept your own uniqueness without needing to justify it, the more your life begins to reflect that back to you. A great affirmation for Aquarius rising is, I trust who I am without needing to explain it. I stay connected to myself in every moment. I don't observe my life. I live it fully. What version of you are you stepping into after this video? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And if this is your kind of space, show this video some love with a like, share it with your circle, hype this video, and subscribe so we stay locked in. And if you're in a season where everything feels like it's shifting, my As Above, So Within digital prompt journal helps you to track it, understand it, and move with it. Be sure to tap the link below to check out my offerings and get started. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Have you ever noticed how easy it is for your energy to shift without a clear reason why? Where you can walk into a space feeling calm and grounded, and within minutes, something feels different. Your mood changes, your thoughts shift, your energy becomes heavier or lighter, and you can't always trace it back to something specific. Or you wake up feeling deeply connected, intuitive, and in flow, and your entire day unfolds with ease. You don't have to force anything. Things just seem to align. Then there are moments where everything feels unclear. You feel scattered, unfocused, pulled in different directions without knowing why. Nothing has objectively changed, but your internal state has. With Pisces rising, your life doesn't respond to logic, structure, or control. It responds to what you are energetically open to receiving. Pisces rising creates a dynamic where life responds to your level of openness and sensitivity. When you are aligned, there is a natural flow to your energy. You are not forcing anything, and you are not trying to control how things unfold. You are present, intuitive, and connected to something deeper than what is immediately visible. That creates ease. Things seem to come together without pressure. You feel guided instead of lost. Your experiences carry a sense of meaning that goes beyond the surface. You are able to move through your life in a way that feels fluid and connected. But when that internal state shifts, everything changes. You start absorbing everything around you without realizing it. You may feel influenced by other people's emotions, environments, or expectations in a way that pulls you away from yourself. And when that happens, your experience becomes unclear. You feel scattered, drained, disconnected from your own direction. Because your life is not just responding to what you're doing, it is responding to what you are allowing into your energy. Your life moves through receptivity. With Pisces rising, universal laws respond to what you are open to emotionally, energetically, and internally. When you are grounded in yourself, your openness becomes a strength. You are intuitive, empathetic, and deeply connected to your environment in a way that allows you to move with flow instead of force. You can sense what feels right. You can trust your intuition, and you can navigate your life in a way that feels guided. But when that openness is not grounded, it becomes overwhelming. You may take on emotions that are not yours. You may feel influenced by environments without realizing it. you may struggle to tell the difference between your intuition and your imagination. And when that happens, your life reflects that lack of clarity. So things feel confusing, decisions feel unclear, and you may feel like you are drifting instead of moving with intention. For Pisces rising, alignment is not about closing yourself off. It is about staying open while still being rooted in yourself. Your biggest block is not a lack of inner guidance. It's in losing your center. And it shows up in ways that can feel natural. So you might go along with what others want because it feels easier than asserting your own direction. You might absorb the energy of a space without realizing how much it is affecting you. You might avoid making a clear decision because you're waiting to fill it out. Or you might distract yourself when things feel overwhelming instead of grounding yourself in what's real. It can also show up internally. So, floating between options instead of choosing one and anchoring into it, or letting your imagination take over when you don't feel clear, or even second guessing your intuition because it feels too subtle. Internally, this may not feel like a block. This can feel more like flexibility for you, openness, like you're being adaptable. But what's actually happening is that you are becoming too available to everything around you. You are open, but not anchored, receptive, but not grounded, intuitive, but not always clear. And so your life reflects that. Things feel inconsistent. Your energy fluctuates. Your direction feels unclear because your life is not designed for you to absorb everything. It is designed for you to move with your own inner guidance. Your life gives you clear feedback about how anchored you are in yourself. You can feel it in your clarity because when you are grounded, your intuition feels clean. You know what feels right, even if you can't fully explain it. Your decisions feel aligned and your energy stays steady. When you are not, everything feels blurred. You feel overwhelmed by options. You feel unsure about what is actually right for you. And you feel pulled in different directions without a clear sense of where you are going. You can also see this in your energy, where there are times when you're feeling deeply connected and in flow, and there are times when you feel scattered and drained without a clear reason. These shifts reflect how connected you are to yourself. And for a Pisces rising, this is everything. Your life does not respond to how open you are. It responds to how grounded you are within that openness. Once you understand that your life responds to your level of grounded openness, the focus changes. You stop trying to figure everything out and you start coming back into yourself. Because for Pisces rising, change is going to come from learning how to stay connected to yourself while remaining open to life. The first step to achieving this is to check in with yourself before you absorb anything else. Before you enter a space, a conversation, or even your phone, take a moment to notice how you feel. This helps you recognize what is yours and what is not. Next is to make clear decisions instead of waiting for perfect clarity. You don't need to feel 100% certain to choose something. Clarity comes after you decide, not before. Next is to limit what you allow into your energy. Not everything needs your attention. Be intentional about what you consume, who you engage with, and where you place your energy. Next is to ground your intuition in action. Your intuition is strongest when it leads to movement. Instead of just feeling what's right, act on it. This builds trust in yourself. And finally, create daily moments that bring you back to yourself. So, whether it's quiet time, movement, or simply stepping away from everything, give yourself space to reset. This keeps your energy clear and connected. A great affirmation for Pisces rising is, I am open, but I am anchored in myself. I trust my intuition and I move with clarity. I do not lose myself in the world. I move through it as myself. What did this confirm that you already knew deep down? Be sure to drop it in the comments below. And if this gave you clarity, support this video with a like, share it with someone who needs it, hype this video, and subscribe to stay in the flow. And if you felt seen, let's go deeper in a one-on-one session where we will shift your entire life concept. Plus, I offer over 10 different session styles to match exactly what you need. All of my offerings are linked in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching.